Look down and I see a truck going down towards Chambers Street, and I'm saying, what's going on? And I see two gentlemen laying right there in the bike lane with tire marks across their body, and you could tell that they're not here no more.
How sad. 29-year-old Sayfullo Saipov says he's glad he did what he did, says he tried to kill as many as possible. The Uzbekistan supporter of ISIS managed to kill these 8 innocent people and seriously injure a dozen others before he ran from his rental truck and was shot in the leg by an alert, quick-acting New York City police officer. And in fact, when they took him to the hospital, he asked if he could display the Islamic State flag representing ISIS. Chris.
Richard, my takeaway from this terrible incident, which I think we can all agree is terrible, but my takeaway is that Donald Trump has once again displayed his polished skill for misunderstanding the law every day of the week that ends with a Y. His foolish tweet about the death penalty has, and I promise you this, tainted the jury pool and given this guy, who does belong in jail, a free appeal card. And that will tie this case up in the appellate courts for several more years needlessly if Trump just would have kept his thumbs quiet.
Well, I must actually agree with you, because you saw in the Bergdahl trial that comments made by Trump were brought into question with that. So that happened weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago. So you would hope that the White House would reserve judgment on stuff like this. But as far as this individual is concerned, it's made me realize that I prefer my terrorist dead, and I wish that he had ended up that way. It's very unfortunate, but like we were saying, anybody can do this sort of thing if they're motivated at any time, unfortunately.
And Tyrone, this is a conversation we're going to continue to have probably once a quarter, and that is really unfortunate, but I guess that is the cover charge to living in a free and open society. Absolutely. And it seems like vehicles are becoming the weapon of choice right now. And
there's no way to follow or trace or...
Well, sure, there's lots of ways to follow and trace, and that's why we have the Department of Homeland Security, and that becomes the question that we need to ask ourselves on security versus surveillance. And that's a conversation that we've been having for the last 15 years right now.
Well, how about we start with talking about what we could have done or what we could do about what happened in Las Vegas? Like, what I don't understand is that there's an example of whether there's a very clear solution that would address the carnage that happened.
On bump stocks?
560 people injured.
On bump stocks?
Almost 60 people dead. Yeah.
Okay.
And what does Trump say? Trump says, we'll talk about guns at some point in the future. It's been a month. It's been a month. It's been a month, and there's no legislation.
You're not talking about guns, you're talking about bump stocks. And here's the thing.
Right.
We're
Do you think they should be
fighting...
illegal?
I'm not for bump stocks, okay? I'm not.
But do you think they should be illegal? Because they just started selling them again 2 days ago.
Okay. This guy didn't use guns. I understand what you're saying, but let's focus back on this.
I'm saying let's do it. We can't do anything about a rental truck from Home Depot. We can't. But we can outlaw bump stocks.
Okay, fine.
Today.
So go ahead and outlaw bump stocks, okay? And that would not have stopped the carnage that happened in Las Vegas. Maybe it would have been.
It wouldn't even. Years ago, we had the clock tower shooting down at the University of Texas. Okay, he didn't use an automatic, but he killed people.
And back in the 40s, you had kamikazes that were flying, okay, planes and aircraft carriers. We're always fighting yesterday's war. That's part of the problem.
All right, now Chris introduced the political part of it, so we'll continue with that for a moment. President Trump, as you mentioned, blames the attack on the Democrats for their immigration policies. Here's New York's Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer on this.
All President Trump does is take advantage, horrible advantage, of a tragedy and try to politicize and divide. It doesn't work with New Yorkers. It doesn't work with Americans.
We need quick justice, and we need strong justice. Much quicker and much stronger than we have right now. Because what we have right now is a joke, and it's a laughingstock. And no wonder so much of this stuff takes place.
Yeah, how tremendous that he just called our criminal justice system the best in the world, a laughingstock and a joke. But the thing I want to emphasize too about the issue of immigration,
a lot of people that live in Baltimore City would agree
doing
with that
away
remark, by the way.
And doing away with the program that would allow people to come from Uzbekistan. This is a former Soviet nation that's only been around since the 90s, and they've had a terrible tyrant leading their nation. And the whole point of this program was to bring people to this country from Uzbekistan, since we have very few people in our country from there, and we're supposed to be a melting pot. So we should not shut the door to that nation because of this.
I think if you look at what Trump's saying, if you look at what some of the Democrats have said, it results in a reactive stance. And the dirty little secret that we have talked about is that there is nothing you can do unless you want to lock this country down, like, you know, the Soviet Union or something like that. Right. You're going to continue to have that's the dirty little secret. We're either going to have a free society and an open society, or we're going to have a totally safe society.
You know that 5 of these victims were there on a holiday from Argentina, and they were brought there by a classmate, 30th reunion. Sure. He paid for everything. This guy was well off. He was one of the ones killed. Here are the 5 from that class who died. They were celebrating their 30th school reunion, 10 in the group all together. And this other victim, a young mother from Belgium, 31-year-old Anne-Laurie Ducat, leaving behind her 2 young sons, mowed down from behind while out riding her bicycle.
But this is what outrages me, is that we can't just throw our hands up in the air and say, oh, we can't fix everything, so we shouldn't fix anything. We can fix some things. And the fact that we focus on the things that don't matter instead of the things that would actually make a difference and keep people safe just underscores that our political system is broken. They don't care. The politicians don't care.
A 1-week waiting period for rental trucks, I suppose, if that's what you're talking about.
Are you being facetious?
I'm curious. No, actually, I'm serious. But I'm curious if you think. Do you know how many times I've actually rented those trucks from Home Depot? I'm curious if you think that AR-15s should be allowed to have 30 bullets in the ammo clip, or should be confined to 10.
I believe that having 30 rounds per magazine is permissible. Right now, Maryland's prohibition...
When would you use 30 bullets?
Listen, right now, Maryland's prohibition against that is an economic stimulus package for Virginia and Pennsylvania.
All right, Jimmy, final word with you. Let's go.
I'm confused. I thought we were talking about a terror attack in New York City that did not involve a gun, and we're pivoting over to gun
most
control.
Most terror attacks in this nation have been because of the AR-15. Look it up.
No.
Yes, they have.
That is factually
It's been in Orlando, San Bernardino.
As a matter of fact, most of these terrorist attacks right now have been at the hood of a car.
In Europe. But in this nation, our nation, it's been the AR-15.
So you talk about politicizing this. You went through Donald Trump under the bus, and you were using this to then pivot over to gun control. No, and you're talking about bump stocks that nobody even
limit terror incidents in our nation. And I think eliminating 30 bullets in an AR-15 would do that.
How about we let the CDC do an actual investigation and look at the public policy implications of gun violence? How about that?